Marikana.
Avas J. Honorable Malema, where were you? Now, this is an important lesson. You call that a sellout position. That was not. Speak to Mondli Gungubele, who was a member of the NUM. And yes, I'm proud to have been the son of a policeman, a very good policeman.
So, President Cyril Ramaphosa decided to respond back on Julius Malema's speech that he had given last week during the debates.
Honorable Malema, nalwena re na lo hwetša nako ya gore re dule fatshe re bolele. Ke nyaka gore re iphe nako mokgomana mošabi re ke re dule fatshe re bolele ka politiki ga golo politiki yane ya kgale e ke bonang gore a o e kwešišiše gabotse.
President Cyril Ramaphosa, for the first time since I know him, he seemed to be very harsh on Julius Malema as he was busy responding to Julius Malema on what Julius Malema had said. But guys, what did Julius Malema had said to President Cyril Ramaphosa that can piss him off to the point that he have to come and answer him back in such kind of manner? Because this is a different Cyril Ramaphosa that we all know. He kind of like giving harsh answers to the president of EFF, Julius Malema. In order for us to understand exactly what had happened, I'm first inviting you, have listened for yourself what Julius Malema have said to President of Republic of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, in order for him to come back and respond back to Julius Malema. Before we play that video, have listened to what Julius Malema had said to him.
Mr. President, you indeed spoke like a badly wounded buffalo yesterday. You spoke like a given-up soul. Nothing inspirational came from that tired speech yesterday. You didn't speak like a person who declined electoral support with 17% to less than 50%. How on earth do you repeat a Sona speech that made you lose elections? You were saying to South Africans yesterday, in so many ways, that you learned nothing out of these historic elections to an extent that you want to continue business as usual. We grew up being told that some of you were collaborators, but we gave you some benefits of the doubt. It was said in this house that you personally wrote a letter to the apartheid police accusing your fellow comrades of planting communist ideas in your head, and we refused to believe that story at that time. It now makes sense that despite the apartheid regime being so oppressive against all freedom fighters, you peacefully and uninterruptedly attended university and you were given your first job by the ambassadors of apartheid, capitalism and colonialism. Without a hassle, you bought yourself a first car and a house with the assistance of the Urban Foundation, which was anchored by the Ruperts and the Oppenheimers, while your comrades were sleeping under trees in exile and languishing in jails. We asked ourselves as to how did you form a union of mine workers without being a mine worker? Can't you know? You were the conveyor belt between the workers and the super exploitative mining capitalists in South Africa after the Oppenheimers and Anglo-American had concluded that the mine workers must be organized. Our elders in the struggle have made allegations before in this house that throughout the struggle against apartheid, you were insulated from any form of arrest and harassment by the apartheid system. Towards the end of apartheid, you shockingly placed yourself at the center of the negotiation for the end of apartheid. No one knows how you arrived to be at the center of the negotiations of our liberation. It now explains as to why so many compromises and capitulations were made, leading to a situation where economic power remained in the hands of the white minority.
Let us stop there for a second. In this first part of this video, you will see the president of EFF, Julius Malema, who's confirming on how President Cyril Ramaphosa, he had sold out people of South Africa. note that that was something which President Cyril Ramaphosa could not accept, especially him as a black child of South Africa. Being called as a sellout of South Africans, it is a very big betrayal that you can have against South Africans. So President Cyril Ramaphosa sitting in that parliament, listening to Julius Malema saying all these things and confirming on how he had worked with the white monopolitical, they had given him the job, he have done this, he managed to buy his first car with the money that he made from working with these people. All these things, I think it was something that really hurt President Cyril Ramaphosa. But here's the second part.
Mr. President, yesterday you shocked all of us and will never recover from that shock. You said nothing about international relations while we are living in a world defined by shifting global balance of forces. The West, under the guidance and protection of the United States of America, is agitating for a world war, which will be defined by recolonization of the African continent and the global South. And you never said anything about that. There is an ongoing aggressive war by apartheid Israel over Palestine, and you never said anything about that because your coalition partners are all fanatics of a Zionist apartheid Israel. Shame on you that you said nothing about the genocide committed right in front of us because Ramaphosa. You chose glory over the dying children and women of Palestine because you are scared to offend your coalition partners. President Mandela, a close friend of President Arafat, who you said we must celebrate yesterday, should be turning in his grave. The trade embargo against Cuba is still intact, and despite the fact that Cuba played a role in the struggle against apartheid, you never said anything about that. There is instability in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South African soldiers are dying in that war, and you never said anything about that. There is a real threat of instability in the entire SADC region, and you never said anything about that. There is loss of life in South Sudan, but you had nothing to say about that. The BRICS Forum has been joined by additional countries such as Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, Iran, and United Arab Emirates, and you never said anything about how South Africa should maximize these strategic relations to grow the economy. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, is agitating for a world war through its admission of Ukraine into NATO alliance, and you never said anything about that. This is happening while South Africa has discovered strategic oil and gas natural resources, which in itself, Minister Mantashe, it's a cause for global security, but your president said nothing about that. Even if the global balance of forces does not matter to you, there is nothing tangible you said about the high levels of crime happening in South Africa. In the past year, South Africa had more than 27,000 murder cases, and you never said anything about that. Are we being handed over to the imperialist takeover as South Africa? Mr. President, there are more than 300,000 students who have passed and attained their certificates, diplomas and degrees, but all universities and universities of technology, huge amounts of money. We must cancel student debt and introduce free decolonized education now. You claim to have created 2 million jobs through your presidential employment stimulus, but there are no additional 2 million jobs that were created since you took office in 2018. And if you want to argue this point, go and argue with Stats SA. Another issue we need to highlight is that Kusile Power Station added an additional 800 megawatt into national grid 2 weeks ago. You never mentioned anything about that. Instead, you chose to mention 256 megawatt of unreliable energy by independent power producers, which was plugged into the grid in the Northwest Province. This is an evidence that in addition of selling fictional buffaloes at Palapala, You are also a salesperson for independent power producers. These independent power producers were at the center of why South Africa experienced perennial load shedding for years until 2 months before the elections. The land which our people desperately needed for human settlement, agriculture, public service and business was left in the hands of the oppressors. Our people were told about willing buyer, willing seller, in a situation where violence and genocide were used to learn dispossession of the Khoi, the San, and all indigenous people of our country. We'll amend Section 25 of the Constitution in our lifetime to allow expropriation of land without compensation.
Exactly that. You had President of EFF, Julius Malema, accusing President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that in his speech it was doing nothing because there is a lot of things which is supposed to be done, whether it is locally in South Africa. President Ramaphosa, he had repeated the same speech which he had given to people of South Africa for the past, we can say, past 6 years. And then he comes with the same speech which it had made him lose the elections, especially lose the majority in the parliament, because people are tired of listening to the same speech over and over again. So Julius Malema, he was actually trying to remind President Cyril Ramaphosa on that part, all right? Now, he even went far to start explaining him that when it comes to the international relationship, that South Africa is well known as people who are good preachers when it comes to peace and the stabilities. But it seems like President Ramaphosa, he does not have a good speech to give again about this South Africa international relationship. Why? According to Julius Malema, he believed that because the government of national unity, which bring President Ramaphosa, the ANC, they have to go and work together with the DA. Well, they are no longer speaking the same language because they have to compromise. And if we listen to most of politicians during this speech, which was given by President Ramaphosa, most of politicians, they were saying that this speech, it was not written by President. Excuse me, it was not written by President himself. It was a kind of the speech which they had to sit down with all the members in the government of national unity, and they have to discuss on what they have to speak. So now when it comes to the part of the international relationships that South Africa usually have with other countries, whether it's in Africa continent or whether it is in around the world, they could not say much because they don't speak the same language. For an example, DA, he believe in Israel. ANC, they don't believe in Israel, they believe in Palestine. So when you see this kind of things when it's taking place, you can tell already that these people, they don't have to speak one language, like they don't have a common understanding of one another when it comes to these things. So that's the reason why you had Julius Malema trying to remind the president that no, when it comes to the international, you did not say anything because your hands are tied and you can't work again on your own because you have people now who are looking after you and they are telling you what to do and what not to do. So after he said all these things, again, remember at the beginning of this video, I said to you guys, we should try to understand some of the reasons why motivate President Ramaphosa to come and give this kind of answer, which we are going to watch very soon, to Julius Malema, because we know that whenever Julius Malema says something to President Ramaphosa, is either he keep quiet about it or either he respond in a very good manner. But today, I don't know whether that was a joke or it was a mockery or whether it was somehow, but you could just see that President Ramaphosa was having a different tongue when it comes to address these matters. So these are the kind of things which make President Ramaphosa like, no, look, it's not because I had accepted to work with the DA that makes me become a sellout. It's not because I called everyone to come and organize this government of national unity and that makes me become a weak president, that whatever I say, you guys don't have to believe me anymore because it seemed like, no, I'm taking order from somewhere. So President Ramaphosa decided to come and give answer to Honorable Malema.
Honorable Malema, South Africa's role on the continent and across the world remains firmly on our agenda. We don't just talk about it, we do, we act it out as the Republic of South Africa. We see the African Continental Free Trade Area and other instruments of continental economic integration as vital to our own economic fortunes. In January this year, we saw our first shipment of products to other African countries under the African Continental Free Trade Area. We are extremely encouraged by the potential of the trade area and what it presents in terms of new markets for South African goods, products, and services. We welcome the progress that is being made towards finalizing rules of origin of products and towards a pan-African payment and settlement system. As Minister Tau said, the African Continental Free Trade Area is a game-changing initiative to leverage one of the fastest growing consumer markets in the world, Africa. A growing market that is young, that is tech-savvy, highly educated, and conscientious about implementing actionable Pan-Africanism and for the 21st century. As South Africa, we are committed to silencing the guns on the continent and playing our part in peacekeeping and peace-building efforts on our continent. And we do this not because we are adventurists. We do this at the behest of the United Nations, the African Union, and our own Southern African Development Community, SADC. We have deployed members of the South African National Defense Force to support the UN, the AU, and SADC peacekeeping missions in several parts of our continent. They have served not only their own country, but also their continent with diligence and courage. We once again pay tribute to the soldiers who have lost their lives during operations in the DRC and in Mozambique, but also in our own country, as some have unfortunately lost their lives either through fires or various mishaps. And we do pass our condolences to the families of our soldiers, and we salute their bravery and sacrifice in the cause of peace in one of the world's most troubled regions. But we also pay our condolences to the families of our police officers who also die in operations and whose families lose breadwinners and their loved ones. So we dip our heads to them as well. We continue to make every effort to ensure the safety and well-being of our troops, of our police, in all the various operations that they get involved in. Our principled solidarity with the peoples burdened under the yoke of oppression and subjugation will not waver. We stand in solidarity with the peoples of Western Sahara and Palestine, and we continue to support Cuba as well. 5 years later after formation, being the largest union in this country, they embarked on a 21-day strike and stopped the entire mining industry in this country. And you call that a sellout position. That was not. Speak to Mondli Gungubele, who was a member of the NUM. Speak to many others. So in doing what you do, play the ball. The question I would ask, Va was J? Marvas J, where were you? Now, this is an important lesson. An important lesson.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members, can you please be in order? Honorable members, I wish to remind you, those of you who are making noise Friday, you requested the presiding officers to protect each and every one of you. Can we please be magnanimous and do exactly that? If you have got a point of difference, a point of debate, you have an opportunity when you take the platform in the debates to do so. Can we please allow the President to finish his address?
Honorable Malema, nalwena, re na lo hwetša nako ya gore re dule fatshe re bolele. Ke nyaka gore re iphe nako mokgomana, mošabi, re ke re dule fatshe, re bolele ka politiki, gagolo politiki yane ya kgale, e ke bonang gore a o e kwešišiše gabotse. E ke bonang nkare o na le wa itse wa fatlega ke nyaka gore re dule fatshe go etsetsa eng go etsetsa gore ha o ema mo o iphe nako ya gore o bolele ka seo se tla isang ditaba tsa rena kwa pele. You know, o ile wa ema mo some 2 years ago wa roga papa wa ka wa re papa wa ka ne ile leponisa. And yes, I'm proud to have been the son of a policeman, a very good policeman. Ke boletse le nkgono wa hao, and nka se ke ka ema mo ka roga nkgono wa hao ka ba ne ke mo tlhompha le wena ke a go tlhompha. Ke bolela so ka obane go tshwanetse gore ha re le politiking re ite hesi sa uri re thomphane, re sumbedze uri ri ne zwine ra khou zwi ita ndi zwine zwa ḓo isa lushaka lwashu phanḓa. Hezwi zwe wa zwi amba hafha ndo wana uri a zwi ngo fara nne fhedzi hambi, zwo fara na vhathu vhanzhi hambi. So kha ri dzule fhasi nne na iwe ri ambe zwavhuḓi nga uri holu lushaka ru nga lu fhaṱa hani. Ni helela kwala. Ndi a livhuwa. Thank you very much.
That was President Cyril Ramaphosa giving his answer to the president of EFF, Julius Malema, according to what he had said during his speech when he was busy debating in the parliament last week. Well, you see it all, and you can tell that President Ramaphosa did not take lightly whatsoever the leader of EFF, Julius Malema, had said to him. He took it more personal. He took it like, no, these are the kind of matters that I need at least to address it by beating the hands on the table so that I can clear my names when it comes to this word of being a sellout of people of South Africa. Because I think the old man have just had it enough. He had had enough of all this, him being accused of 1, 2, 3, one side, Marikana, the next things, so you failed people of South Africa and employment, you know, all of those kind of things. Now, the worst part is that the moment when he decided to go ahead and bring this government of national unity, this government of national unity, it is actually a bitter pill that is very hard for someone to swallow it, even though it is already been in your mouth. But it becomes a very serious challenge for President Ramaphosa with the ANC to swallow it. Why? Because if you look, people who had fought apartheid regime, people who have defeated apartheid regime, people who have preached on how to live in democracy in this country, that will be the ANC. But it seems like the ANC, they have start losing that things, that directions which everyone they are familiar with them. And these elections, it what end up exposing them, because they had only two choices. Either to go and start working with these same people that you guys have fought back then, or you have to go and work with your fellow African, South African brothers. But unfortunately, it happened that they end up realizing that they will be having a serious problem, because all these other left wings which compose the part of black Africans, South Africans, you find out that they are all babies who came from the ANC. EFF came from the ANC. MK came also from the ANC. So I think the ANC, they end up having that arrogance of saying that, no, why should we go and start trading or dealing with our own child? Because this child is fighting us. They've been fighting us. They want to see us going down. Now that the constitution is obliging us to go ahead and start working with these people, will give them even more wings that they can use it against us. So why not us going for someone we know better than these other people? That's what happened with the ANC. They had to make that choice, like it or not. And they choose to go for this government of national unity. And most of people who are in this government of national unity, they are there for power. They are there for posts. That's why you saw in one of our previous videos that we had spoke about this government of national unity. We were very clear. We said that it is an organization, so should I say a group of people who want even to benefit more. It is kind of an organization of people who still want to become even more richer, and the poorest they will continue to be poor. That's what happened. And the benefits or the winner in all this is the DA. I'm not the one who's saying that. Look them through their speech, different speech that they're giving. You will see how they're celebrating, because everything went exactly as they planned. Do you still remember when John Stenizen had to declare an open war against the EFF with their leadership, Julius Malema? Do you still remember when this same man came and said that, no, we'll do everything in our power to stop the ANC from going to coalitions, which they call doomsday coalition between ANC and the EFF or the MK of Jacob Zuma? You still remember? So everything they have promised to fight for, they did that. Why? Because they were hoping that if they manage to isolate ANC from these political parties such as the MK and the EFF, then they will be the only partner that the ANC can have. And once they do that, they'll be able to control. So, in other words, remember, these are the same people since after the elections which took place back then, the one of Nelson Mandela in 1994. They had to participate in the first government of national unity. After then, they never been again in the government, because the ANC was always coming out with the majority in the parliament. They'll win the presidency, they'll win the majority in the parliament, they move forward. So then they've been sitting for too long without leading, without having power. Now, them doing all this, actually, it was good for them. Do you guys still remember what John Stenizen had said during his rally in Durban, when they asked him about the MK as the ANC? They were busy taking Jacob Zuma to court with the MK and trying to fighting for who does the MK belongs to and blah blah blah. John Stenizen had to say, I quote, he's saying that let them fight. Yes, let them fight among themselves, because that's what we need. Why was he saying like that? Isn't it he was saying like this because he believed that it's gonna be a good opportunity for them to sit down and see black people fighting among themselves so that they'll come and take over. That was his simple message. And with all this being said, the ANC, they still have to go ahead and sit down with them and start governing with them at the same place. That is politics, guys. So obviously they're the winner in all this. Now, on the other side, President Cyril Ramaphosa with the ANC, who have even compromised everything and neglected to work with their fellow South African, black South Africans, to go and start working with them. Well, they're paying a very big price, because I won't be surprised, or you should not be surprised, if in the next elections to see the ANC, they end up dropping below even 40%. Why? Because this government of national unity is going to destabilize them a lot. Trust me. Because already you can see how the opinions among people is different. People are saying that no, they should never gonna go. They should have not go to coalition or with this DA. They should not gonna do this and blah 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 blah. Now they are being called names. They are being treated in somehow, all because they decided to work with DA. So President Ramaphosa, he have to come at least to respond back to Julius Malema and say that, no, look, I don't deserve to be treated in that way. I'm not going to allow you to come and brainwash the mind of everyone by decorating me with a wrong brush, according to him, of course. So he have to come and give this kind of answers because he believed that was going to be good for him. Now, I believe Julius Malema will have to come back again and respond back to him, because obviously this weekend they'll be doing their EFF 11th anniversary, something like that. And I see Julius Malema coming back to responding back on this. So guys, stay tuned. We'll come back again here and we'll have a conversation on whatever it will be the development in this story. Yeah, that is politics with politicians for you, I'm telling you. So things are changing, and listening to President Ramaphosa, the way he spoke in his speech, you can just tell that from now on is gonna start getting back on any opposition political party who will try to come and attack him. He's no longer gonna keep quiet. So it's gonna be like President Zuma back in days, whereby if you attack him, he's gonna come and respond back to you without beating around the bush. So we shall wait and see. That's why someone once said that South Africa is a movie. Me, I would say that South Africa political class, it is a pure comedy. Yeah. So let's see what will happen, and then we'll develop more as time goes by. But above all, guys, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video until now. We really do appreciate your presence. So please make sure that you hit that thumbs up before you leave. I will appreciate if you like this video, and do subscribe to the channel for more video to come. We really do appreciate your presence here. That will be all for now. Continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. Hey guys, by the way, stay tuned, because tonight we'll be having a serious conversation on these VBS matters. There's some development which we would like to talk with you about it tonight, so don't miss it out. Make sure that you stay connected so that you can be able to find out more about what we'll be discussing about this evening. So thank you so much, guys. Again, stay cool, stay blessed. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.